So I became friendly with somebody in the UFO community, and that person invited me into a small signal chat. Literally just three of us, but we were trading information on what we were hearing, blah 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 blah. And so over the course of 18 months or so, this story begins to emerge from the person who invited me in, that there is an object, it's planet-sized, it's coming from out of our solar system into our solar system, it is decelerating, it has been decelerating for a couple of years, I think, at that point, and it's expected to enter our solar system around 2027. It is intelligently controlled. And when I asked how large it is, I was told massive, possibly even planet-sized. Later, I think maybe a month or two later, I was shown a photograph of this object. It looked like an astronomical image. It was taken from a distance. The thing was like this. It was gray. It was round.
Off limits.
Nothing's off limits. I just may not be that knowledgeable about certain things.
Yeah, well, I was hoping you'd give us the secrets to the universe, but okay, well, we'll just, thanks for joining me, Michael. I'm just kidding. Look, man, what I wanted to start with, first of all, thank you for coming on and taking the time. I know you're busy.
I know, I'm literally doing a jigsaw puzzle as we speak. So yes, I'm very busy.
Yeah. Piece number 3. Dude, I have to say before we jump into all of this that I saw the Superman movie last summer. Okay, I was actually in Spain on vacation, and we saw the movie, and I was like, "Oh shit, Michael's in the movie."
There's
Dude.
That guy's fat face. Yep.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, I skipped through all those parts when I saw you, but no, I'm just kidding. How cool is that, dude, to be in a Superman movie?
Oh, it's so cool. I mean, first of all, there's an alien UFO connection there, which, right?
Absolutely.
Second of all, I grew up. The only thing I ever collected as a kid was Superman comics, so I was excited to get that call. And then just to be there and hang out with Lex Luthor and hang out with Superman and James Gunn and see the different sets that they were building. It's a tiny part. I don't know if I'm in the movie for 2 minutes, I'd be surprised. But yeah, it's very cool to be a part of it. And the thing that I'm most excited about regarding it is that, I don't know, what did it make? $700 million around the world. So as an actor, I get a residual check based on whatever, if it made a lot of money, I'll get a bigger residual check. Every day I'm checking my mailbox. Where's that residual check?
I got new puzzles to buy. Come on.
This could be $30, $40. Where is that residual check?
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Yeah, it did. It made a ton of movie. I loved it.
It was
to
good.
Be honest. Yeah, I thought it was great. You actually play an integral role in it. If I think it's not just some like throwaway role. You may not be in it the whole entire time, but I feel like your role is kind of important because of what it reflects about Metropolis and how they're covering that, right?
And how it reflects how we as a culture cover certain things and certain people. That was by design, I'm guessing, from James Gunn's point of view.
Yeah. No, that is so cool, man. So you got to see Homeboy in his costume on set. Like, oh man, that's gotta be.
Yeah, when I was doing the costume fitting for my character, I got to wander through the racks and I got to see all the superhero costumes, and those things. I think they cost like anywhere from like $25,000 up. I mean, I think $25,000 might be cheap for what those things cost. I mean, they're all handmade and made out of like weird materials, and they all have to be fitted to the actual actor, and it's incredible what they do. I mean, you could go through any department on one of those big superhero movies, and you're going to find like craftspeople of the highest order doing this
Yeah.
stuff. Because, in the Middle Ages, you might have artisans building cathedrals, but now the level of craftsmanship and skill required to do like really intense work, that all falls, I mean, a lot of it falls to like the movie industry and making these big spectacles. So it's cool. It's cool to see people who are really good at their jobs doing it.
Yeah. No, that's sick. Like, did you get the whole script before or you only had like certain
Mm-mm.
parts? Was that like sort of hidden?
Yeah, I think I just saw my scenes. I don't think I saw the whole script.
So you
Not that I
didn't
would have
really
read
know. Yeah.
it. Why do I need to read the script?
Blah, 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 not in it. Blah, 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 not in
Me,
it.
me, blah,
Yeah.
blah,
Yeah.
blah, me, blah, blah, blah.
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious. So when did you know the full story?
Oh, when I saw it in the
You know,
theater. Yeah, I didn't know it was,
really?
yeah, I didn't know what it was about.
Wow. Wow. That's kind of cool. That's cool to watch it unfold with everyone else,
Mhm.
seeing that. Because I remember all the speculation about this, that, the other, and Lex and Superman, what's happening, and, I
Yeah,
get
it was
into that
cool. I
stuff.
mean, yeah, I mean, every once in a while, like in my business and show business, you get to do something like weird and cool, and that was one of those times. So yeah, I was grateful for it.
Yeah, because I just saw a thing that they changed or updated the name of the movie. It was called Man of Tomorrow, and I think they changed it, added Superman, Man of Tomorrow, which
Oh, I don't even know.
oh, okay. Yeah, I saw news of that, which I thought was a good idea. Although Man of Tomorrow is also a cool title on its own, like when they did Man of Steel and they didn't say, they're just Man of Steel.
Yeah,
I
I'm
thought that was
guessing
cool.
when you see the poster and it's Superman and it says Man of
Yeah.
Tomorrow, people will figure it out.
There's two guys with big S's on their chest. Oh my God. Yeah, that's funny.
These guys
Yeah,
are
I
ripping
mean,
off Superman.
yeah, more like Man of Yesterday. Yeah, that's funny. Okay, well, very cool. I'm super happy for you, and that's super exciting that you got to do that. And
Yeah, it was cool.
yeah, I love that. A guy just won $1 million by creating an AI film using VO3 on the stage of the 1 Billion Followers Summit, hosted by the UAE government. A 19-year-old girl runs an AI automated agency and earns $100,000 a month. And the most recent report from Forbes shows that employees who use AI at work are earning 40% more than those who don't. The AI employment paradox is alive, and February matters because the early adoptive phase is over. So the question is simple: will you watch this shift or win from it? Introducing Outskill, the first ever AI-focused educational platform to accelerate AI learning for people like you and me. They're hosting the 2-day AI Mastermind training live this Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern on both days. And right now is the perfect moment to join because you can get in absolutely free for the next 48 hours. This 16 hours AI training has already built 10 million plus AI first professionals worldwide and is rated 4.9 out of 5 on Trustpilot. People from marketing, finance, operations, product, and engineering. Join this just because this is not specific to any one industry, but is now needed across every one of them. This is where you learn how to build AI agents that plan, write, execute, and report for you, automate workflows that run even while you sleep, connect tools like Sheets, Notion, CRMs, and email to create profitable systems. Use AI to save hours every week and get an unfair advantage at work. Not just that, you'll learn how to profit from these skills. People from this very training have launched AI-powered services that bring in 3 to 4K weekly by just applying the systems they're taught. To kickstart your year, you'll also get premium lifetime bonuses like the AI Prompt Bible, the AI Profit Roadmap, your personalized AI Toolkit Builder, only if you attend both days. And here's the most interesting part. When you sign up, you'll get access to the 2026 AI Survival Hackbook, a comprehensive compilation of the upcoming AI shifts in 2026 and the practical steps you can take to be prepared. Seats are limited. Use the link in the description to join. And join the WhatsApp community to stay updated before the big blast. Well, look, there's been a lot of news dropping about UFOs, aliens, particularly all kind of started recently, I think, with Obama being asked on a podcast, are aliens real? And then he gives an answer that just goes completely viral. I mean, across everywhere. It even reached here in Spain. They were covering it. Not a lot, but it was definitely talked about. What were your thoughts on that when you first heard that?
My honest reaction was exactly what he said later, which was this was just a sort of casual interview. Are aliens real? He expressed his belief they're real, but I haven't seen them. Uh, that was my take. I didn't think it was anything, and then it blew. And then, of course, it blew up. I mean, former president confirms aliens are real, and he
Yeah.
probably should have thought of that before he said it, sort of flippantly, which is why I guess he had to then issue that sort of backpedaling statement. It was actually, I think it's kind of illuminating about the topic as a whole that we have to dissect a sort of flip remark from somebody so deeply, and get into the criminology of it or Kremlinology of it, because there's so little transparency on this topic. And so anytime anybody who might be in a position to know says anything, everybody jumps on it like, oh, here it is, it's disclosure, blah, 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 blah. The more interesting aspect of that story is what Trump said afterwards. That's far more interesting, where Trump said he shouldn't have said that. He might have said something classified. He said something like, I might have to get him out of trouble for this, meaning and then the next day he issued that social media post about releasing all the files. So you can believe whatever rumors you want, whether Trump is planning to be the disclosure president or not, but it does seem like Obama's remarks did precipitate, at least indirectly, that social media post he made.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I was thinking about this too, like by Trump saying, "Oh, he shouldn't have said that. That's classified." Isn't Trump then admitting it's classified? Like, you know what I mean? He's kind
The
of
problem with Trump, as everybody knows, is that his words are so imprecise that nobody knows what the hell he means when he says something. He might have said something classified. Well, what?
which part?
What?
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
and there's the qualifier. Well, he might have, or maybe he did, and it's like, just say what you mean. Just say what you mean.
yeah,
And the fact that he's incapable of doing that, I don't think necessarily indicates anything about the government's interest / involvement in extraterrestrial life, only that he's incapable of forming a cogent thought.
yeah,
So I don't know what he means. But when we look at the actions, we did see that Truth Social that went up, and Hegseth was now asked about it. Hegseth that he said he's going to direct people to go through the files and start releasing things. All that being said, I have zero optimism that whatever they release will move this ball forward. Now, I could be
yeah.
wrong. I could be wrong.
Sure, sure.
But
Well, I'm with you, but I want to be wrong, right?
I
Like
want to be
that's
wrong
just one
too.
of yeah, yeah. I know. I feel you.
No,
It's
look,
like
for your audience who doesn't know me, I hate Donald Trump, like with a white hot passion. I hate him. That being said, if he were to be the disclosure president and he were to give the "We are not alone" speech, and it was backed up by evidence and scientists standing beside him, going through the evidence, other world leaders saying, yes, what he's saying is correct, then at that point, I think he absolutely gets incredible accolades for being the disclosure president. Do I think that will happen? No. And
yeah,
will I trust him if it just comes out of his mouth? Absolutely fucking not. If he just says, we're not alone, I'd be like, okay, well, I don't know what the fuck you mean by that. Like, it
yeah,
doesn't mean anything to me. Like, and by the way, that would be the same if it was a Democrat too. Like, you can't just get up there and say it. Like, there needs to be a lot more attached to that.
yeah. I agree. I totally agree with that. Right? Like you can't just say it. There's got to be something. I mean, you're either at a warehouse and they open the doors behind you and show the craft, and
Son,
after you give the speech, something. I'm with you, and I don't know what would be in the files that would actually
but then
bring
you know
the
what's so
big
funny about that,
disclosure.
Patrick? Even if they did that, even if it was Trump, there's a lectern, he's at Air Force Base Nellis, they open the thing, there's a craft, people will be like, fake. It's like I actually don't know what he could do, what any president could do to
Yeah,
convince people that it's real, other than maybe a demonstration of technology. Even then, people would think it was fake. He has
yeah,
so denigrated trust in the American government. It's not just him. I mean, trust in the American government's been going down for decades, but um, he, uniquely, I think, among modern presidents, maybe all presidents, has so little trust from the American population that his people would be like, oh my God, Trump just said aliens are real. I guess aliens are real. But 70% of the population would be like, let me just wait and see on this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And with AI, it's
Exactly.
tough to, yeah, that it's
No,
like
we're
we need
now
the
at a point.
scientific community to
That's
say
what
it.
I'm saying. We're now at a point where I can't even look at UFO videos. They mean nothing to me because I don't believe any of them. We knew this
Yeah.
point was coming, but now it's here, and it's like, all right, here's another UFO video. It could be anything. Doesn't matter. It could
Yeah.
be in 4K, crystal clear. I'm not going to believe it at this point, which sucks.
Yeah. I agree, because that's what we all wanted for so long, was just like this perfect video. And I've seen some AI videos. I literally, at first I could tell there was always signs and this and that and what, but I've seen some recently. I'm actually about to make a video about it. You literally cannot tell. We're cooked.
Yeah.
We are cooked. It's so good. It's like handheld. I mean, it's you literally cannot tell unless someone tells you it's AI. There's no way for you to tell that it is AI. And it was just made by some dude with, $15 in credits on whatever platform, so it's not like some complicated thing.
No,
Right.
and it sucks. So now, I mean, we always wanted provenance on video and documents and all the rest of it, but it's now gotten to the point where
That won't work.
it won't work. It just doesn't
No,
work.
especially photos, right? Photos, videos out the window. Testimony is hit or miss.
Suspect. Yep.
Suspect, right? So, yeah, it's like what are we going to need? We need the scientific and academic community to sort of come out with it, and that they've tested things and they've got results and data, and that's really what's going to be what does it. And
even then, it won't convince people. But over time, with a preponderance of actual evidence, and with people actually talking about this in public without restrictions, without worrying that they're running afoul of some stupid NDA, then I think the ball will move forward. But unless there's like an Independence Day scenario, disclosure is not going to be like an overnight thing. It just isn't.
Yeah, I've definitely said that too, right? Like if aliens disclose themselves, that would probably be our best bet. But even then, who knows? Who knows? Did you hear about this Trump? Well, I know you did because I read your Substack. The Trump speech that allegedly might be happening in July. What do you think of that news?
I mean, like everything in this field, my instinct is always to first take people at their word, because the field is so strange that I feel like you have to hear people out. So if you say to me, hey, I just had a conversation with a mantid creature, I'm going to be like, okay, tell me more. So this researcher, his last name's Lee, I think, said that he's got access to sources within the Trump administration. There's going to be a speech on July 8th, the 80th anniversary of Roswell. It's the We Are Not Alone speech. Now, I believe that he's sincere. I believe that somebody is telling him this. I can even believe that the source believes that. But I'm highly skeptical that speech will ever take place. Interestingly, and this is what I'm looking for right now. That guy, William Lee, what's his full name? William James Lee? What is his name?
No, Mark Christopher Lee.
Couldn't have been more wrong. Mark Christopher Lee. William James, the 19th century psychologist, and Lee says that his source is going public on May 1st. He's doing a press conference. So if that happens, that will certainly be an indicator that the July 8th speech is more likely to happen. But who knows? So I'm just sort of taking a wait and see on that. I do think it's interesting that in an interview, Lee said that Trump had secured essentially permission from Russia and China to be the first to make this statement, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I would say it makes almost no sense to me, but maybe there's things going on that I just don't fully understand. And why Russia and China, when France, when England, when Brazil, when Mexico, when all these other countries have allegedly these programs and have files, So I don't know what that's all about. And it seems to me, if you were really serious about this, any government, if they were serious about this, they would assemble other heads of state, preferably both from allies and rivals, to get up on a stage together and say, we're standing here together. We have our problems as nations, but we're united as humanity, and this is what we've learned. That makes sense to me. But asking for permission from Russia and China makes zero sense to me.
Yeah, I agree. That doesn't make sense. And why would they just give it to Trump? Hey, yeah, you go ahead and be the most famous person in the history of humanity, because that, right? I mean, whoever gives that speech. And my big thing is, and I'm actually glad that Mark specified what would be in the speech, because my whole thing was, okay, is this just going to be a like Obama comment, like, yeah, we're probably not alone in the universe? Well, that's way different than we have crashed UFOs and bodies, and they've been on this planet interacting with us, right? Those sort of that stipulation. But no, he said that that's what he thought. I personally, I agree with what you said. I think I actually interviewed him last November about a film that he had coming out, so I did get to speak to him, and honestly didn't think he didn't seem like the type of guy to just lie, right? Personally.
Yeah.
I believe I believe he believes his source and all that stuff coming out, but I think he's being used. And, you know, my whole thing with, I don't have sources. That's my big thing on Vetted. I don't use sources. I don't.
You're talking to one right now, dog.
Yeah. Yeah. Your face is blurred out the whole time. You know, because, you know, people try to tell you things in this community, and especially with, like, I have a UFO platform, so they want me to say things for them. And I'm like, I don't play that game. And I feel like if I was Mark, I would have said, oh, you think that's going to happen? Great. You say it. You go out and say it. And I think that pressure is what, when all that first came out, I think he probably told, like, hey, dude, you got to do, like, I'm out here on a limb, you know? So maybe that's why that press conference was put together on May 1st. Because initially that was not part of the story. Right, that came out afterwards. So I hope his credibility doesn't get, you know, tarnished, and he gets hurt from this.
I mean, if history is any indication, he will be hurt by it. There will be attacks on his credibility and reputation, and that, I suppose, is why so many people are reluctant to move forward. I mean, it's a stigmatized topic to begin with. And then there's obviously a cadre of people who, no matter what you say, will attack you for it. I don't know how much of that is organized or not, but you know, even me, somebody who has zero influence in the UFO community, I get nervous about saying certain things, and that's part of the control mechanism. That's you know, we one of the reasons I dislike Trump so much is because of his attacks on free speech. We see it happen with Colbert, with Kimmel, with various threats against various people, networks, etc. And so while, like, those people aren't going to go to jail or anything, the cumulative effect of it is that it stifles free expression, because nobody wants to suffer the grief of saying an unpopular opinion. We saw that when Charlie Kirk died, for example. Same thing.
Yeah.
The same thing happens in ufology, where people are afraid to speak for reasons most of them probably can't even articulate. You know, like Black Hawk helicopters are not going to come to my house. I'm not worried about it. You know, I'm not worried about being disappeared. And yet I still have reluctance to say certain things. Because we hear the stories.
Yeah. I mean, that could be part of it, the intimidation, to some extent. I mean, I've put out, you know, I don't know, over 600 videos. I've said all kinds of shit. You know, I'm quite hated in the UFO community, but also quite, you know, obviously I'm growing and I've made an impact. So, but nothing's ever happened to me. Nothing's, you know, people have tried. But I think the way I've avoided it personally is I just stay out of those secret channels and secret things that which does bring me to my next topic, because when I saw your Substack, I related to something that happened to you. And you'd claimed that you got invited into this Signal chat group. You went in, you're talking with people, and that happened to me too. They I don't know if it's the same people, but I got approached by a few different groups. I said no to all of them, which none of them liked, and I could tell right away, it's like no one had said no to them before or something. And I just said, I don't want secrets. I know what it is to keep a secret, and it's, I take that stuff seriously, but I don't know. I just thought, I just don't want to be manipulated. I don't want to be told to say certain things. And your story in particular, like, if you don't mind, I'd like to talk about that. Like, they told you an object was coming for Earth and even showed you a picture, and I just find that fascinating.
So I became friendly with somebody in the UFO community, and that person invited me into a small Signal chat, literally just three of us, but we were trading information on what we were hearing, blah, 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 blah. And so over the course of 18 months or so, this story begins to emerge from the person who invited me in, that there is an object, it's planet-sized, it's coming from out of our solar system into our solar system, it is decelerating, it has been decelerating for a couple of years, I think, at that point. And it's expected to enter our solar system around 2027. It is intelligently controlled. And when I asked how large it is, I was told massive, possibly even planet-sized. Later, I think maybe a month or two later, I was shown a photograph of this object. It looked like an astronomical image. It was taken from a distance. The thing was like this. It was gray. It was round. It could have been anything, but I was told this is the thing. Now, I was also told, please don't talk about this. This is huge. This is, when people are going to panic, blah, 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 blah. And of course, me being, some jerk off on cable TV, I'm like, what? And I was dubious, because as soon as I heard planet-sized, I was like, wait, that doesn't make any sense to me at all, because it seems to me if you have planet-sized object entering your solar system, like, other planets are going to feel that. Like, we're going to see that. It's going to show up. Then again, just because something's planet-sized doesn't mean it has planet-sized mass. So I don't know. That being said, when Corbell released his video of saying there's a lie coming, and the lie is that there's an object approaching Earth and it'll be here in 2027, I was like, not that I believed it to begin with, but I was neither rejecting nor accepting it as a premise. I was like, all right, that's another data point. It's a huge data point, and it would be fucking freaky if it were true, but I'm definitely not believing this narrative at that point. But all of that to say, I still feel protective of the person who invited me into the Signal chat. And I feel protective of the person who gave that person their information, not because I'm afraid of any consequences, but just because I don't feel right about betraying trusts. And I was, it never came out, okay, now you can say it. So I don't want to, I just don't feel right about betraying the trust of people who trusted me. I've also been invited into two other Signal chats, which were much more populated with a lot of people that I recognize from like social media and stuff. And those were basically just like gossip centers, chat rooms, basically. And so I found those, they were speculative, they were inoffensive, they were like people bickering with each other and whatever. I never contributed, and I think I was booted out of one of them because I never contributed, because I didn't find a lot of value in there. Nothing that I couldn't see in other public forums.
Sure. Yeah. So like this person that told you that, I totally respect that, the trust thing. I'd probably do the same thing, to be honest with you. You felt they were reliable at first, right? That's why you joined.
I thought the person who invited me in, I believed to be sincere. I
Yeah.
believed that that person believed the information they were given.
Yeah.
And they had no reason not to believe it. I think subsequently, my original contact has come to distrust the person who brought them in a little bit, or maybe a lot, I don't know. Um, but again, it's just like, I don't want to be involved like you in this hall of mirrors.
Yeah.
It doesn't get me any closer to my objective, which is to understand what the hell is going on. And I don't think it serves the community at large. And it's all so vaporous. This like, so, you have these whistleblowers who are like, um, I could be killed for saying this. Okay, but you're saying it and nothing's happening to you. So what's the
Yeah.
truth? What's the actual story? And if what you're saying is true, that you fear you can be killed, and then nothing happens, why aren't way more people coming out and saying, oh, I thought I was going to be killed, but I guess not. So I'll just say what I know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand this world of secrecy. I find it confounding. I find it infuriating, and I find it self-defeating.
Yeah. No, well said. Well, yeah, well said. Yeah, that's why I stay out of it, to be honest with you. Just
And
'cause
I've pulled back from it too, which is
yeah.
why I'm happy to come on here and talk about it, because I feel like a lot of people are in the position you and I found ourselves in, which is you just don't know who to trust or what to say, and you feel insecure about it. In addition to the stigma of just saying, yeah, I believe in UFOs, and then you have to
Yeah.
deal with all this other shit. So yeah, I've pulled back. I'm not actively invested in trying to find like networks of people who have information, because any networks of people that I find, like, they shouldn't be talking to me. And if they are, then I question their agenda.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I feel the same way, especially I remember when they asked me to come in, I had like, I was nobody, not that I'm a somebody now, but I'm definitely bigger. I just thought, why do you want to tell me? Well, who am
Mhm.
I? Who am I? Same thing I thought about Mark Christopher Lee. Like, wait a second, the biggest speech in the history of humanity, and they tell this UK filmmaker, no offense to him, but why would they
Right.
do that? It doesn't make
Exactly.
any sense to tell him these things. Now, he did reveal later that a lot of other podcasters and journalists had been told
Mm.
about it. They just hadn't come forward, which I do believe him about that. But that's what I don't trust about the whole thing. And that doesn't make me. Some people, when they hear these stories, they think, "Oh, there's got to be something there. They're covering it up." That actually makes me think the opposite. It makes me think, "Oh, this is just some bullshit," which saddens me because I entered this field never being involved in anything like this in my life, coming from the food world. And I just really always had this desire and curiosity, right? I want to believe, right? Of what's going on. This is so fascinating to me. And the more I learn, the more I'm like, man, I don't know I don't know what's going on, man. I've kind of moved into my own journey and sort of investigating this phenomena outside of what I would call government disclosure and the government path. Like I filmed a documentary that's coming out this year, over this last summer, looking into psionics.
Mhm.
Because I'm like, oh, that's something I don't need. I can test on my own. I can
Mhm.
go talk to people, and we can go out in out in the desert and see what happens. And
Without giving anything away, have your conclusions affirmed or changed your opinion about psionics?
I definitely changed my opinion. I went in thinking, to be honest, this is kind of bullshit.
Mhm.
Okay, I really did. But at the same time, I thought, okay, you got to reset yourself. You got to go in open minded. Let's give this a chance. You really want this to be true. This will be cool. Superpowers, and aliens. Okay, let's bring it all together. And something I have, my mind. I can use my mind to do this.
Right.
I would say it hasn't confirmed it, but it hasn't made me think it is all bullshit. I think more work needs to be done looking into it. I think
Mhm.
there's enough there to be like, man, that could be there's there might be something here. I saw some things I couldn't explain. I felt some things I couldn't explain, but nothing that was like, yep, aliens, let's
Mhm.
go. because I also saw people that were deceptive with me, who were trying to deceive me, lied to me, and I didn't like that. But that's
Interesting.
just human nature, I think, too, right? I don't know if that has anything. I try to separate those things of just
Hmm.
ego, human psychology, insecurity of people, and there's a lot of different things going on. So I try to separate that from is this phenomena real or not, and are there people that have an ability to connect with that phenomena, whether it be learned or genetic by birth, whatever, a mix. Could there be something to that? And I think it needs to be looked into more, which is fascinating.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah, I think we're on a similar trajectory. I am not. I wouldn't say I'm not interested in what the government has to say anymore. I'm definitely going to pay attention to it, but it's not at
sure,
all the focus of my interest. I'm far more interested in the things you're talking about, the sort of phenomena as a larger construct and concept, and what progress has been made, if any, in understanding its nature. And the more I look into it, the more I feel like, oh, there's actually been a lot of progress. And there's a lot of really interesting theories, which I find compelling. Now, I'm not a scientist, so it's just as likely that I'm just an idiot for anybody's stupid woo-woo theory. But some of it makes a lot of sense to me. And I have been, like you, feeling like, okay, some of this stuff I can test out in my own life. And so I'm starting I'm starting to try to figure it out. And oddly, the results so far of my own sort of personal investigation, which, is limited at best,
sure.
um, the results have been surprising
That's cool.
on a very limited sample size, and
Like, what have
so
you tried?
um, a lot of things, but a lot of it's centered around meditation and
Sure.
understanding that what everybody says across disciplines and across time is that meditation is the key to sort of unlocking all of this. Now, I didn't understand any potential biological reason why that may be the case. But then I saw a really interesting, hold on, I have an itch on my inner ear canal. And if you think I'm just going to ignore an ear canal itch, you're crazy.
Yeah.
I saw an interview with Diane Fossey. Is that her name? Or is that the gorilla lady? From the telepathy tapes, the woman who originally did
Oh,
the tests.
Diana Hennessy Powell.
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking about the gorilla lady. My
Yeah.
recall on
Like,
names is
yeah.
clearly amazing.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't want to do an injustice to her explanation for what she thought was going on, but it did have to do with frequencies and vibrations, but measurable, not just like that sort of woo-woo idea of frequency.
Sure.
And the way these things may interact with the environment. That was the first biological theory of how the phenomena, if it exists, can interact with people. I've also heard Tom Campbell talk about this. I've heard this guy Bruce Lipton talk about this. They all have different theories about how it works, but they're all trying to sort of piece together the biological components. All that to say, I have now started, delving into meditation a little bit. And well, I'll just give you an example, because again, like we're talking about not having secrecy. So I met with this guy over Zoom named Tom Mate, Matte, who does this thing called Upsight, which was introduced to me by Kelly Chase from the UFO Rabbit Hole podcast. She had met this guy. She found him really interesting. She just did an episode on him. Basically, the way he described it to me is he can see images, sort of holographic images the way the girl in the Queen's Gambit could see chess pieces moving on her ceiling. He said it's exactly
Yeah.
like that. And so
Yeah.
he offers readings of people. And so I was like, fuck it. I'm curious. I'll get a reading.
Yeah.
I paid my money. We did the reading, and a lot of it did not resonate at all with me. Like nothing. One thing he got really right. But this just leads to the example of what I'm talking about. So he communicates symbolically. He sees images which he equates to like a dream space, and he doesn't necessarily know how to interpret them, but his hope is that you will. So one of the images he saw for me was a Confederate general, Union Confederate general specifically. And he does it in series of 5-minute readings. I did it for an hour. So in 2 of my readings, he saw this Confederate general. Meant nothing to me. That night, out of curiosity, because I'm simultaneously interested in meditation, I put on some hemisync shit, and I think to myself, all right, I'm just going to use this as a creative exercise. I'm not going to try to go out of body. I'm not going to anything. This is just a creative exercise. And so I'm going through this meditation, and I'm thinking about this general, and the name Lyon, Lyon, or Lions, or possibly Lion, all come to me. And I'm like, all right, I don't know what this is. Maybe it's relevant. Maybe it's not. I'm a Leo. Maybe it has something to do with that. I'm not astrologically inclined, by the way. Maybe it's something to do with that. I forget about it. A couple days later, I remember I'm in the shower. I'm like, oh yeah, let me just Google that. I Google, this is all I Google, General Lyon, Lyon, and you can Google it. There's 2 people that come up. One is a modern American general. The other was a Union Civil War general, exactly as described, but now I have a name attached to it.
Yeah.
So I got this thing, Confederate general. I meditated the name. In my head, it was Lyon, but Lion, Lion. I Googled it, and then there is a Confederate general, only one. I mean, not Confederate. I keep saying that. I keep saying Confederate. Civil War general, a Union Civil War general, specifically Union, named Lion. So I don't know what to make of that. Coincidence? Sure.
Yeah.
Synchronicity? I don't know. But it's one little data point, right? And it's interesting.
Sure. Yeah, no, that is interesting. I never heard of Upsite, and I've heard of it. Everything. Kelly Chase is great, so whatever
she is great, and I hadn't heard of it. She hadn't heard of it, and I asked Tom about it because he's been on a quest to find other people who have this, and he said he has now found a couple others, 2 or 3, I think he said.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it sounds like what psychics do in a lot of ways, right? They kind of just throw out. Do you know someone named Jim? Sister starts with an S, or so. They kind of. But, I've seen some mentalists kind of break that down like, well, they're just, it's very general readings. And it's very general. It's very easy to sort of connect. But who knows? I mean, at the end of the day, I tried, even though my documentary is called Psionics and it was about trying to summon UFOs with your mind, I hung out with this woman named Zenka in Sedona that I was introduced to. And I went and filmed with her with, have you ever heard of the Y-Files show?
Yeah.
The Y-Files. So I went with Gino, who is AJ's brother, the host of the show, right? He went with me for a big part of the trip. And so we went together to this woman's house in Sedona, but she had us do Jedi training. So I did a bunch of stuff. I only knew remote viewing. That was the only thing of the many things we did that day that she put me through. And there's a lot of new stuff I'd never heard of, to just try to use, the power of the mind. So I don't know. It was very interesting. And the results were, like you said, surprising. I was getting things right that I have no idea,
right.
What's going on. I really just don't even know what's going on. So I also exploring in the documentary was just, the power of the mind and consciousness. And we just don't know those things. It's such an empty void. So are these things possible? Yeah. I mean, we just don't understand anything about consciousness and the mind. and we don't even know what we don't know about it, right? Like it's like, oh, do we understand 5% or 10%? We have no idea where we're at with it. So I find that stuff fascinating. Maybe there is something to this kind of stuff.
Yeah, to me, all of that is as interesting and really more interesting to me than the single UFO question.
I
Because
agree.
I think they're intimately related to each other. I feel like we know they're intimately related to each other for, any number of reasons. First of all, and as soon as you talk about abduction scenarios, you're talking about that sort of thin line between physical and non-physical. Anytime you
Yeah.
talk about craft in the skies and what they're doing and how they can phase in, phase out, allegedly, um,
Yeah.
and the way different people seem to experience them differently, all of that has elements of what's familiar to anybody who studies the phenomena. A term, I'm trying to think, do I even like that term anymore? Yeah, I guess so. There's no better term. There's no better
Yeah.
term for it.
Yeah. That's
But
funny.
but can we say the phenomena is consciousness? And I suspect we can. I suspect we can say that. But I don't know. I don't know that it's a one-to-one comparison. But I suspect it might be. And all of that is way bigger and it's a much richer subject than whether beings from a different planet have the technology to come here, because it speaks far more intimately to not only who we are but who we've been, and critically, I think, for many people, myself included, where we're going, meaning
Sure.
post death, and then
Sure.
as a species where we're going. And I
Yeah.
think I've become
That's a
convinced
good point.
now. I think I am I think I'm convinced in the existence of this phenomena. I think I've been convinced of it for a long time, but the evidence just seems overwhelming to me at this point. And I think I'm convinced that it's intimately related to consciousness, which, so once you make that connection, things like near death experiences connect to alien abductions, connect to the telepathy tapes, connect to ghosts, connect to telekinetic powers, and all of this, all of which may have varying degrees of truth and physical expression. But man, if it's not true, that means millions upon millions upon millions of people are lying and or misunderstanding their own subjective experience,
Sure.
which doesn't seem likely to me.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's a whole can of worms, right? Like the subjective experience, because we don't know what the subjective experience is. So it's tough to
Well, we do.
say.
Well, also, so subjective experience is consciousness. That's what that is.
Sure. Sure.
So you can deny the validity of your subjective experience, and you can say, well, I think a ghost touched my shoulder. Like, come on. But that's still your subjective experience. You still consciously experience that in some respect. The explanation for it, we don't, you may not be fully convinced of.
Sure. I see what you mean. But I guess my point is like we don't know what the mind is capable of, right? Like that question of, well, we don't understand consciousness, we don't understand the mind, we don't understand what the brain can convince ourselves of, right? And it is possible, in my opinion, that millions of people, they're not lying, but they're misunderstanding the interpretation of things that are happening to them. And that's also fascinating. I'm
Mhm.
just, it's fascinating to think what it all means. And like you said, post death, I mean, right, it just brings everything together under this one umbrella that is oddly connected to everything. And I agree, it is fascinating. And I'm more personally, on a personal level and personal journey, I'm more interested in that. Vetted, I have to cover more UFOs and
Of course.
news and alien stuff, and that's fine. But yeah, my own personal journey, that's where I'm at. I'm,
You could
I'm thinking about
expand.
those things.
You could
For
expand.
sure. For sure. Absolutely. And that's why I did the psionics documentary, right? I,
Mhm.
I wanted to do long form, boots on the ground,
Mhm.
out in the field on this stuff that I was actually interested in. I didn't go check UFO crash sites or do like a James Fox documentary and break down some UFO event that happened 30 years ago, which is nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that just doesn't interest me, to be honest with you. Because I think I feel like you have to deliver to the audience something that I don't know. I'm not an investigator. Like, let me look for evidence and bring this for and that. You know what I mean? It's like, let's go on this journey and figure this out and kind of wing
Which
it
is
in
why
a
I like your
sense.
approach. I like the approach of we're on a journey, emphasis on the we. We're
Yeah,
open about it. We will make mistakes and we will take in
definitely.
information. And we, as a collective of people who are interested in this, will sort of do our level best to ascertain the truth or as close as we can get to it. As
Yeah,
opposed to the way we open this conversation, which is that thing of siloed information and everybody protecting their turf and worried about, oh, if we reverse engineer shit, then Boeing's going to be upset at Lockheed Martin, and I don't give a shit about that stuff. I don't care about patent law. What I
yeah,
care about is moving humanity forward.
yeah, man. Yeah, I totally agree. There's a channel called Third Eye Drops. Have you heard of that channel?
No.
That I'll send you a link to that. That guy's amazing. His name's Michael. Pretty big channel. I've interviewed him a couple times, hung out with them in person. I interviewed him for the documentary as well. Exactly what you're interested in, and I'm interested. That's his whole thing. He's
Mm-hmm.
amazing, really smart guy, and he's so knowledgeable on this stuff and the history of it, how far back it goes, and how it's been studied, and all that. And he kind of opened my mind to that as I was filming the documentary, to not forget that as well. Let's go back in time and see where maybe some of this has come from, and that other people have studied that, and that potentially people were more connected to this idea before certain booms of technology and the industrial revolution and technological revolution, right? Like, we're
Well,
sort of getting away
it
from
seems
it.
like the schism sort of happened when it should have happened at the Enlightenment, where you've
Yeah,
got religion and philosophy and science all as essentially one subject. Then the Enlightenment happens, it blows that apart. And ever since, we have made tremendous strides in terms of our traditional scientific understanding of the world. Everything from Newton on.
yeah,
But what we lost is that I shouldn't say we lost it. We've now come to a point scientifically where we've drilled down as far as we can, which has been the whole scientific project for the last couple hundred years. Well, what's this made out of? And what's that made out of? And what's that made out of? And when you get to the very bottom, you go, oh, wait, there's nothing here.
yeah,
So then you get into a situation where, in science, they call it the God of the gaps, where, whatever you don't understand, you just put God there and you say, well, that's God.
yeah,
But it does seem like we're getting to a place where once you arrive at the conclusion that everything that is essentially made of nothing, then I think you've got some splaining to do.
yeah,
And we have to, I think, rethink or at least expand the paradigm. And one way to expand the paradigm that actually makes a lot of sense is what Tom Campbell talks about with his big toe, his big theory of everything, which suggests that everything that we sort of know is right here, and that's the physical world. But the non-physical world is actually a superset of that, and it surrounds it, and
yeah,
and 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 and, and not essentially, but literally creates it. And that has all kinds of ripple effects. If that's the case, then that would explain a lot of what we seem to be bumping up against. I don't know if it's the case, obviously, because I'm a fucking idiot, but maybe it is.
yeah. No, that's interesting. Like a membrane, right? That sort of it keeps it in, a fence that keeps it in.
More that Not even that. What that science and yeah,
The
more than
subset, right,
yeah.
around
This
it, to our physical world, the non-physical world surrounds our entire physical
yeah.
world, right? And it sort of keeps it in balance. I don't know.
It according to Campbell, and I'm going to butcher his theory too. Um, First, there is awareness, and everything flows from awareness. Everything, and so that subset we can say is the universe, and the superset is everything outside and beyond the universe.
Yeah.
And that the awareness itself is what creates the universe. And Campbell goes through like literally the physical mechanisms for how this could happen. It's
Wow.
fascinating. I don't know if it's true. It's fascinating, and it is to me compelling because it makes sense. Now, a lot of things that are wrong can make sense, but it does sort of align with both what we're experiencing scientifically, what religion tells us, and what anecdotally we experience through the phenomena.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And just because it may be wrong, but parts of it could be right. Like, for
Mhm.
instance, you know, before we had microscopic technology, we didn't know about bacteria and this other universe that exists, but right, on a different scale. But people got sick, right? There were symptoms that were real. There are things that are real, and trying to understand where it comes from or what it is what we're speculating about. But I do feel there are unusual phenomena and unusual things happening with the brain, consciousness, right? Near death experiences. I mean, there's so many. Um, I look at it like an artery system, right? Like there's just all kinds of, it's moving everywhere.
Mhm.
Which coincidentally enough is what people think the universe looks like, right? Like it's
Mhm.
all kind of a similar pattern. So, who knows? I don't know. It's just one of those things, and we may never know all of it, but I mean, in my opinion, there's clearly more to it than what we're just experiencing. Like we've hit the wall, of knowledge and where we are and our experience and reality. It's like, yep, we got it all figured out. I mean, no way, right? So like, what more is there? There just has to be more.
Yeah, and I suspect, and maybe this is just the romantic in me, but I suspect what we're going to uncover at some point, and I think it might be sometime soon, is a whole other sort of field of inquiry, and I think it will involve consciousness. I feel very confident that will involve
Yeah.
consciousness, and over the next couple centuries or whatever, we'll make progress towards that, and then at a certain point, we will then go, well, I guess we figured it out. And then there'll be a whole other thing,
Yeah.
which is
That's
great,
interesting.
which is what you
Yeah.
want. It's
Sure.
what I want as a human. I want there to be endless mystery, endless wonder. And it may
I
be
agree.
that that's why I believe in UFOs and that it's all bullshit. Uh,
Sure.
and it may be why people believe in their religion or whatever. But, genetically, it seems like we are inclined towards mystery. And you could and then it becomes a chicken or egg question where you go, well, is that because of the true nature of reality, or are we just wanting the true nature of reality to be something beyond what we experience on a day-to-day in our day-to-day lives? But I suspect it's the former, and the reason I suspect it's the former is because there's just too much stuff that our current scientific paradigm cannot explain. Doesn't mean it will never be able to explain it, but right
Sure.
now it does seem like everything is pointing towards there's something else going on, something more, something that exists beyond what we can test in the laboratory. And like
What
that
is
gets
that?
me excited every single day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The idea that we would just get it all figured out and just stop. Um, yeah, absolutely. It's
Yeah, I
it's
mean
it's
that's the end of our
insane.
species if we stop wondering. because then
Sure.
it's just stasis and
We're,
stagnation, and then that's
we're
that's
stuck
the
in a
decline.
cave.
Right.
Yeah, we're stuck in a cave.
Which is, by the way, part of Campbell's theory, is that he says that humanity's purpose is to have you hear this from a lot of people, but he breaks it down, I think, in a really nice way, is to have these conscious experiences to filter that information sort of up to the kind of larger awareness, which you can call consciousness, which you can call source, you can call spirit, you can call God, and that we are an inevitability of that source wanting to explore. So that sense of mystery and exploration, he would argue, I think, is inherent in awareness itself, and that because we're a reflection of that awareness, we also want to pursue those things.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. That's interesting. And at the end of the day, first of all, science, you know, corrects itself all the time,
Mhm.
right? Makes a declaration and then revamps it, comes back and says, well, we were wrong. It's actually this, and that will keep happening. And even if we just go off of what science says is reality, that's also crazy. We're on a spinning rock moving through this massive, but you know what I mean? The
Void.
Big Bang. Yeah, there's void. There's all these. It's like, that's fucking crazy in and of itself. So,
Yeah,
it's like,
Pete Holmes, the comedian, talks about that. He's like, he has this bit where he's like, "You ever think about the fact that we're just living on a rock? We're on a fucking rock shooting through
yeah,
space." And yeah,
yeah,
it's
nuts.
shocking.
It's nuts.
Absolutely
Yeah.
startling.
Well, we don't, it's funny. Um, I get out of nature a lot. I have to always do that. I have to make sure to get away from the city, the light pollution, get out, because that's when you realize those things. We can get caught up just, looking down at our phones. We're looking at the TV. We're in the city, blah, blah, blah. You forget what our existence actually is. I mean, aside from that, it helps you put into perspective what's really important in your life. But yeah, when you get out in the middle of nothing and you start looking up, you just think, "Oh my God, this is a miracle."
Yeah, it's a
That we're
literal oh my God. It's
Yeah, it's a
it's
literal. Oh my
yeah,
God, yeah,
it's the recognition that there is something profound and sublime that is just out of our reach. And
yeah, man,
that's a
yeah.
beautiful thing.
I agree, and I do like the mystery of it all. I don't want to find out everything. I like there to be a mystery to some things to keep. I'm a curious person, so if mystery ended, I would be. I feel like I would just crumble up and die. Right? Like I
The
need.
hell would you
I
talk about
need
on your
that.
podcast?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I just make shit up. I mean, come on. I just, yeah, which brings us back to, or brings me back to something we were talking about earlier, right? When you join that signal chat and they give you this story of, oh, there's a big object coming towards Earth, and, it's coming in 2027 and all this stuff. And, it's like, what's that meant to do? Like to activate us in some
That's the
way, and
question,
like,
right? Like,
you know what
what's
I
the
mean?
point of
Yeah.
that?
What's the
And
point
and
of
it's
that?
and it speaks to, another mystery, which is a much more sort of grubby mystery about what all is going on in Disclosure World. Like, what is that all about? What is the point of launching a psyop on the American people, setting aside the legality of it?
Yeah.
But it does feel like there's a lot of people running around ufology behaving as useful idiots, and I don't
Yeah.
understand why. I really
Yeah.
don't. It makes no sense to me. And I think I was in a position where I easily could have become a useful idiot. And maybe I am, and I'm just unwitting right now, even having this conversation. Maybe I'm being somebody's useful idiot. I don't know.
Sure.
But in the field
Sure.
of ufology itself, it seems like we're just rife with it, and it's a
Yeah.
mystery. That is a mystery,
I
because I
agree.
don't
It is a
understand the
mystery.
objective. I really don't.
I don't either. Trust me. It's like it's confounding, but it's like, you know, it's using a message needs to get out and a narrative needs to get created. You know, I just don't know what it's for. Is it a psyop to convince us there isn't any crashed UFOs or bodies that we have? And it's actually just advanced tech that we've created, so we're trying to hide it through UFOs, or there is actually real craft and bodies, but we're being psyop to create a bigger haystack. So we don't know which is the real story, right? We don't know which event actually happened, which bodies we really have, because that would be the best way to hide it, is amongst other fake, things. So I get confused, and clearly when you have, you know, genuine people who are interested in this topic coming into it, they're easily susceptible to, hey, here's something no one knows that could
Mhm.
affect all of humanity. Who isn't enticed by that, right? It's like,
Mhm.
oh shit, I'm privy to some crazy stuff. I really want to know what's going on, and people take advantage of that. But the bigger question is why? Is it just a personal thing, right? I'm trying to grow my own personal brand, and I can sell a documentary and a book and my ego, or there is this actual cover up of what's going on. It is just like this cloak and dagger web of craziness, that's impossible to try to figure out. I think it's impossible.
I think I agree with your latter statement that it's likely to be they're trying to generate a bigger haystack.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm starting to
uh,
think that too.
but
Really.
again, the question is why? Is it
Why?
because there actually is something to cover up, or because they actually just want you to think that there's something to cover up for various,
Correct.
nebulous geopolitical reasons? But then, if
Yeah.
that's the case, why are you enlisting, a guy known for talking about Cabbage Patch Dolls on VH1, or a guy who was in the food service industry, or who was in
Yeah.
food? Like,
Yeah.
why? Who? Like,
Why?
I'm not. I'm a mushroom person. I'm
Yeah.
nothing. I'm a background character in somebody else's video game. So why are you reeling me in? Because I have this tiny public profile. And if it's all just a fiction for somebody to make money, couldn't you pick a better topic than UFOs that
Yeah.
98% of the world doesn't give a shit about?
Yeah.
Like, what's
Yeah.
the grift you're trying to run here? Is it
Yeah.
defense spending? That doesn't make any sense either. Trump just asked for another $500 billion for defense spending without mentioning UFOs once. None of this makes any sense to me.
Yeah, it's a good point. And also, I think of, having moved to Spain and moved to Europe, a lot of countries have have these experience, right? A lot of
Mhm.
people in different countries, different cultures have this experience. It can't all just be a lie,
No.
right? Like, there's a whole world of UFOs in Spain that I had no idea about. Stories, lore, going back, that everyone's telling me about here. I had no idea,
Well,
and
there's your
it's
next
like every
documentary.
country, for sure. Oh, trust me, I was waiting for
Okay,
it to get
good.
warmer,
Mhm.
because my brother-in-law was like, oh, I got a friend who wants to take you out to a cave. And I was like, a fucking cave? But what the fuck? I'm not going to spend some night in the cave with some dude I don't know who's going to show me aliens. I'm not stupid.
Not when it's 40 degrees out. Talk to me when
Yeah,
it's 65.
basically that's what I said. I said, it's too cold. If I'm going to get,
I'm gonna get
kidnapped,
murdered. It's gonna be in good
yeah,
weather.
it's going to be in good weather. Okay, I want to be comfortable at least. But yeah, I think that's why it makes me think. If it was just America, I
Right.
might think differently.
Of
But
course.
because
And you could
right,
dismiss it.
it's global. Yeah, you could dismiss it, but it's global. So I don't think that psyop is happening in every single country. So I do think there's a bigger haystack that they've created to help. Just, you don't know which is the real one. And I always say this on my show. I think, you know 9 out of 10 people are lying when they come forward, but I think 1 out of 10 isn't, right? Like,
Mm.
there's 90% or 95% is bullshit to hide from this one. We only need one story to be true,
Mhm.
right? That's it. We just need one to prove it all. One craft, bodies or not, something. And the best way to hide that would be to create all these other fake ones, right? I mean, that seems like a great way to do it than some big cover up and, um, I don't know, a psyop against the American people and even people within the government, because that's also something that I found out as well, right? You get people like, just showed this in my video yesterday that I did with Jeremy Corbell, James Lukatsky, who had come out on Weaponized. He he said that David Grush was a credible guy, but that his 40 witnesses, that he was trying to be nice and say they're delusional. He didn't know another word to use, but like they believed what they were saying, but that they were fed misinformation. They were shown forged documents within the government to make them believe certain things.
And so again, you go, why? What is the point?
Yeah, why? To cover up SAPs, to cover up, a real program. So he said every SAP has a counterintelligence thing, and and then that Wall Street Journal article came out, and they talked about an Air Force program called Project Yankee Blue that allegedly had convinced tens of thousands of Air Force officers over the course of decades that we had alien technology, but it was all hazing. I'm like, hazing? And then but that doesn't make sense, because they wouldn't tell them it's not real later, right? They would just let them live the rest of their life thinking that was real. I just don't buy that. I just don't buy that. If that was hazing, that's insane. That's insanity to me.
All of which leads me to this belief is starting to tickle the back of my brain, and I don't know whether I believe it or not, but I'm maybe starting to, which is this theory that's out there that the phenomena itself, or some aspect of it, is responsible for its own disclosure. And that Jung was kind of talking about this. I mean, he didn't use these words, obviously, but he was talking about this in his book, where he's talking about, and I found this really confounding when I was reading it. He was saying, if you don't know, and most of your audience, I assume, does, but Carl Jung, I think the last book he wrote was about flying saucers and mythology. And he was trying to get to he's trying to answer for himself, what the hell is this? Yeah. And it doesn't seem like he was able to quite do that. But what he did conclude is that they seem to be some sort of combination of physical and non-physical. And the way he seemed to be able to rationalize this for himself was positing that we, and I'm not even sure who I mean by we, but let's just say a general we, are collaborating with essentially a collective unconscious to bring these things into reality. And we would be doing that ostensibly to advance our own education and evolution. The reason this is kind of making sense for me now is it answers one very interesting question, I think, which is why throughout time do people claim to see these things that always seem to be a little bit more advanced than we are? And one explanation for that would be because we're creating it. We're using the sort of collective knowledge of our species to sort of project these things into reality. How the fuck that would work, I don't know. It's crazy. And yet, is it any crazier than anything else? But it makes sense. And it would make sense that if what I'm saying has any shred of validity to it, that would affect the government as well and their ability to manage and control the narrative. In other words, they'd be unable to, because it wouldn't be fully within their purview. And because of that, what you would expect to see is exactly what we see, which is confusion. All of these contradicting narratives, all the sort of nebula around this. It would make sense if the government, A, knows something, B, doesn't know what it is, and C, does have experience, at least at times, with physical manifestations of this. So we're seeing radar signatures and whatever else, FLIR signatures and all the rest of it. That, to me, as crazy as that sounds, makes some sense.
I mean, that's no crazier than
time travel,
traveling beings, right? Like, I I remember like when I first got into this and I went on a Reddit for like remote viewing or something, people were like, this is bullshit. So anyway, interdimensional time traveling being, I'm like, wait, what the fuck? That's okay?
Right,
Like that's not
right,
crazy?
right. We
You
get we
know,
get from I think I saw something weird in the sky to 6 months later, you're like, well, interdimensional time traveling.
yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, it's all crazy. I mean, again, even reality as what the scientists would say is crazy. So there's
Crazy.
really no more crazy anymore to me. But I did hang out with a guy this summer for the documentary. His name is Carl Crusher, and
If he's
he
not a
had an
professional wrestler, he needs to become one
he's
with his name like that.
oh, he looks like a wrestler too. Um, he had an interesting theory that I had never heard, and it's honestly kind of what you're saying. Because I'm asking everybody as I'm filming this thing, taking me out, they're doing their thing. Okay, so what do you think this is? What do you think you're summoning, right? What do you think is happening? What do you think the phenomena is? And his theory was, I think the phenomena is ourselves. We manifested ourselves. So if you see something, it's just a reflection of something you're manifesting out. And I thought, well, but we can like people collectively see things, right? They have a subjective experience, right? You know what I mean? Like I thought, well, I don't like, so I'm seeing your thing that you create. Like I don't know what's going, but the idea was interesting just to start thinking about. Like it's not aliens,
Mhm.
it's not some other thing. It's just we're more complicated than we know. There's
Right.
different depths to us that we're not aware of, and what we're confusing for something else is actually just us, and
Right.
that is, I don't know. That was
Yeah, that's
interesting.
kind of where I'm heading, I think.
Yeah, that's super fascinating. And
Which
maybe
is
that's
which is a
just like
bummer
the ego.
because yeah,
I don't
but
know.
it's a bummer because you're like, oh shit, maybe there's nobody out there, or they're so far away,
Yeah.
we'll never meet them, and all the rest of
No,
it.
no,
Um,
no
but
way.
yeah, I do think,
Maybe they have their own. Does that make
yeah,
sense? Like
of course.
there's other life and they create this other thing. Like we're all do that.
Mhm.
There's more levels to us than we're aware of. But
Right.
that doesn't negate. I think both can be true. There
I
is
think they
other
can be
life,
too.
right? Yeah,
And
yeah,
when I said I don't even know what I mean by we, that's what I was talking about. Like
yeah.
their consciousness may be far more vast and far-reaching than we understand. Um, I mean, it seems to be. I mean, quantum entanglement kind of tells us that. So,
Absolutely, yes, 100%. Which is fascinating.
so the
Um,
implications of us generating this are I think really profound and really deep, because what it means to me,
sure.
and I'm somebody who knows nothing, but what it means to me, or what it suggests to me, is that we can talk about and point to the sort of odd aspects of our reality, and you go, oh, I guess the brain is creating that. But if you take a step back, then you have to conclude, I think, that the brain is creating all of this, including that. And if that's the case, then reality itself is shattered, because what it suggests is that reality itself is a construct of the mind, and which gets us back to Tom Campbell's theory.
Sure, sure. Or
Um,
simulation. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, and he talks about it in terms of a simulation. He talks about
Yeah,
reality being what he calls virtual reality. It's an analogy
sure,
I don't like,
sure,
because I think it's limiting and
sure,
confusing.
sure.
Um, but
Yeah,
it's saying the same thing. Yeah.
yeah. Which I don't know. I did hear something interesting about the simulation theory, and we'll wrap it up here soon, Michael. I know you got to go, but
Yeah, I got a
ne-
jigsaw
ne-
puzzle to do.
yeah, yeah, you got to do some puzzle to finish. Um, people have always said, well, the simulation theory, it's kind of hard to disprove, right? Because you think that if there's millions of simulations, how are we to say we're in the original one, right?
Right.
We're in the original reality that simulations are based off of. But I heard Neil deGrasse Tyson say something recently that was kind of interesting to that. He basically said, well, we're either the first or one of the last, meaning because we haven't created the technology to create simulations yet,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if a simulation within a simulation within a simulation, well, we haven't created that yet. So we're either the very original one or the one right before that happened. So he's like, it narrowed down the possibilities and it made the percentage less. And I thought that was interesting.
It's interesting, but I feel like you could put you could stick a stick in that right away by just going, or the simulation that we're a part of just began 30 seconds ago, and that there's infinite number of those simulations that,
Sure.
somebody just hit run with. And, it comes preloaded with our history and our physics and
I
our,
see what you mean. Sure.
everything.
Sure.
Like, to me, the simulation theory as a theory it's just one of those things. I mean, it's unprovable. It's unfalsifiable, I think. And ultimately, maybe irrelevant to how we conduct our lives.
Oh, it's definitely irrelevant, right? It's like the Matrix scene with the steak, right? Like, who cares? It looks like a steak. It tastes like yeah. And it's also a little boring. I really hope that's not. I hope that's not the answer.
It would be super disappointing if that were the case. If we were just playing The Sims, which is a shitty ass video game, that would suck.
Hate that game. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Now, if it was like Red Dead 2,
well, then yes,
then that would be badass. But not in my life, not what I have to deal with. I agree. It is kind of disappointing if that was the case, which is a better word. All right, Michael. Well, so first of all, thank you for coming on, man. This has been such a fascinating conversation. Is there anything before we go that you wanted to shout out or mention, or I don't know?
I mean, I guess I'd be a jerk if I didn't, just because you're supposed to. But I'm on a TV show called Have I Got News for You? It's on CNN every Saturday night. And then a book I wrote just came out this week called I'm Busy. It's a children's book. I write children's books and adult books. And when I say adult books, I don't mean erotica, Patrick. I do not mean erotica.
Damn it.
But this is book 5 in a series of books about emotions. It's called I'm Busy.
Wow, that is super cool. I didn't know that. Wow, that's amazing.
I'm very accomplished. Very, very accomplished.
Yeah, I can tell after this conversation. You kidding me? And that jigsaw puzzle you were working on. Let me know.
I'll let you know how that turns out.
Yeah, absolutely. You send me a picture. It's just 3 pieces. That's the whole puzzle. Like, how did these go? Well, I'll put links to all of that down below so people can check it out, and your Substack too that you have. I don't know how often.
Oh yeah, my Substack. I post like almost every day.
Okay,
sometimes about UFOs, but not that much because I don't want to annoy everybody.
Sure. No, I get it. I totally get it. Well, again, man, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. This was a fascinating conversation.
Good catching up with you again.
Hey Patrick, Daniel Harrison from Palm Springs, California. I don't have a story to tell. Just wanted to say thank you. Went through a divorce last year, and I sleep on a couch in the garage every night. I don't even sleep in my bed anymore because for 5 months I woke up in so much grief and sweating and anxiety. I just sleep in the garage on a couch, but every day I flop down on the couch and I turn you on. You make me laugh and feel good, and you bless me so much, bro. You're authentic, you're so talented, and you're a joy to watch. All right, my brother, keep it up, don't quit. You're doing an awesome job. Super proud of you.